Something in the new Maxton Hall Season 3 trailer feels different, almost like the story is finally ready to heal. Fans expected more heartbreak, more distance, more pain. But instead, the trailer drops small. Powerful hints that Ruby and James might finally be walking toward the ending we all hoped for. And the moment you notice those clues, you can't unsee them. It feels like the show is whispering, this time things might end right. The trailer opens with a calm, almost quiet moment, and this is where the first big hint hides. Ruby stands alone in a bright hallway, with sunlight sliding across her face. This is not the heavy, cold lighting from the end of Season 2. This is warm, soft, and full of hope. The show rarely uses this lighting, unless the scene carries emotional growth. It suggests that Ruby is in a new chapter of her life, one where she is stronger, clearer, and finally ready to choose what she wants without fear holding her back. Then the camera shifts to James, and this moment says even more. He looks tired, but not destroyed. There's regret in his eyes, but also determination. His expression is not the same broken version we saw last season. Instead, it looks like a man who has learned something the hard way and is ready to fight for what truly matters. The slight, almost invisible smile at the corner of his mouth feels like a message to the audience. He is done running. Even the background music in this scene feels intentional. It starts slow, then rises with a gentle hopefulness, as if signaling a new beginning. The editing cuts softly between Ruby and James, not sharply, like a conflict. This style is usually used for emotional reunions or moments of healing in the series. The creators know fans read into every detail, and they place these shots at the start for a reason. It sets the tone. Season 3 is not about breaking apart. It's about finding the way back. There's a quiet scene in the trailer that almost slips by if you blink. But it might be the most emotional clue of all. Ruby is sitting in a classroom, her notebook open, but her eyes aren't on the page. She's staring at the door as if waiting for something or someone to walk through it. The camera doesn't move fast here. Instead, it lingers on her face long enough for us to notice the softness in her expression. This isn't the guarded Ruby who built walls to protect her heart. This is someone who still believes love can return, even after everything. Then the trailer cuts to James standing outside the same classroom, but not entering. He hesitates, breathes deeply, and gently touches the doorframe. He's close enough to walk in, but he stops himself. This moment is powerful because it shows James fighting between fear and hope. The scene feels raw, almost like he's replaying memories, both the good and the painful ones. His shoulders rise and fall as if the battle is happening inside him, not outside. The brilliance of this moment is in the way it mirrors Season 1. When James and Ruby constantly stood on opposite sides of the same emotional world, so near, yet so unsure. But here, the tension feels different. It's not about pride or ego anymore. It's about longing. It's about wanting to step forward, but being terrified of breaking something delicate. The trailer doesn't give us words, but the silence between them speaks louder than dialogue ever could. The music drops to a single soft note, and the camera cuts back to Ruby looking up, almost as if she senses him. It's one of those small storytelling choices that show the creators know exactly what fans are waiting for. They're telling us that the connection between Ruby and James is still alive, still strong, and still pulling them toward each other, even when words aren't spoken. This tiny moment, hidden between bigger scenes, might be the clear signal that Season 3 is building towards something gentle, healing, and maybe even the happy ending the trailer dares to promise, one of the most powerful moments in the trailer doesn't come from a kiss, a dramatic line, or a big confrontation. Instead, it comes from a look, just one look shared between Ruby and James in a crowded hallway. Students move around them like waves, rushing and noisy, but the world seems to fall silent when their eyes finally meet. It's not a long scene, but it hits harder than any dialogue could. Ruby pauses mid-step, her breath catching as if she didn't expect to see him this close again. And James, he freezes completely, almost like he's afraid that if he moves, the moment will vanish. What makes this tiny shot unique is the emotion layered in their expressions. Ruby's eyes carry a mix of pain and softness. She hasn't forgotten what happened, but she also hasn't shut the door. Her face tells a story of someone who has learned to stand on her own, yet still holds space for the person who once broke her heart. James, on the other hand, looks at her with a kind of quiet honesty we rarely see from him. There's no arrogance, no mask, no defense. Just raw, open vulnerability. It's as if he's silently saying, "I'm still here, and I'm not giving up this time." The lighting in the scene makes the moment even deeper. Ruby is standing in a brighter patch of the hallway, while James is in softer shadows. It creates a visual metaphor. She's stepping into clarity and growth, while he's still fighting through the weight of his past. But the moment their eyes lock, the tones blend together. It's subtle, but it hints at something important. Their stories are slowly aligning again. The background sound fades, replaced by a soft heartbeat-like rhythm buried under the music. This choice isn't accidental. The show often uses this effect when two characters share a meaningful emotional connection. It tells the audience that this is more than a random encounter, it's a turning point. It's the moment where both of them remember that their bond is still alive. No matter how far apart life pushed them, this single, silent exchange might be the strongest sign that Season 3 is building toward a reunion, not another breakup. It whispers that even after all the pain, Ruby and James are not done. Their story still has unfinished pages, and the trailer suggests those pages might finally lead somewhere softer, brighter, and full of hope. There's a moment in the trailer that feels small on the surface, but it carries the weight of everything Ruby and James still have to face. It's a scene where Ruby is meeting with a professor, her hands tightly clasped on the table. She's clearly focused, confident, driven, but the camera zooms in just enough for us to notice something else, a flash of worry in her eyes. It's the kind of worry that comes when someone has something to lose. And for Ruby, fear isn't about grades or opportunities anymore. It's about balancing her dreams with her heart. Cut to James. In a completely different environment, standing in his father's office, the cold, dark tones of the room contrast sharply with Ruby's warm academic setting. His father's voice is stern, calm, and loaded with pressure. The camera stays low, capturing James' clenched jaw, his hands tightening into fists. He's trying to stay composed, but the tension is unmistakable. This scene signals that James' greatest battle this season won't be with Ruby yet, will be with the world he comes from. A world that expects him to obey, even if it costs him the person he loves. What makes this conflict unique is how the trailer edits these two scenes together. Ruby's ambition and James' duty collide visually, even though they never speak in these moments. It shows the heart of the problem. They're fighting different battles, but the outcome of each one affects the other. Ruby wants to move forward in her life, and James wants to break free from the mold his family forces on him. Both are trying to grow, but their paths aren't easy to combine. The music during this sequence shifts to a low, tense hum, most like a slow drum beat. It builds pressure, telling us that the obstacles ahead aren't simple misunderstandings. They're structural, emotional, and deeply personal. These are the kinds of conflicts that can either tear a couple apart or make their bond unshakable. But the most important detail is this: neither Ruby nor James looks defeated. They look determined. Even in their separate scenes, there's a sense that both are ready to fight for the future they want, no matter who or what stands in the way. This determination is the clearest sign yet that the creators are preparing us for a season where love and conflict collide. But where love finally has a real chance to win, one of the smartest choices the trailer makes is how it uses the supporting characters not as background noise, but as silent forces guiding Ruby and James toward a possible happy ending. Their roles look subtle at first, but when you pay attention, you realize they're shaping the emotional direction of Season 3 in powerful ways. The trailer gives us a quick shot of Kira sitting with Ruby in the library. She isn't talking, but the way she places her hand gently on Ruby's arm says everything. It's the kind of comforting gesture that only a true friend makes when they know you're carrying something heavy. Ruby doesn't pull away. Instead, she lets herself breathe for a moment, showing that Kira is one of the few people who can help her stay grounded when emotions threaten to overwhelm her. This tiny interaction suggests that Ruby won't face her, struggles alone this season, and having someone steady by her side may be the key to keeping her heart open. Then we see Alistair watching James from across the courtyard. He doesn't approach him, but the look on his face is a mix of concern and loyalty. Alistair knows James better than almost anyone, and he can see the storm building inside him. The trailer shows James walking away, shoulders tense, but Alistair's expression hints that he might be the one to pull James back when he starts to.